on the theory that supports Ray 1 being the soul on EVA Unit 00 comes from the fact that Evangelion is all about interpretation. It's just like a big giant puzzle. Therefore, if we see something, that does not mean that it is actually there. It's just a symbolic event. My interpretation of what Rei saw on chapter 23 was her inner self, when she finally understood her purpose in life and her destiny, not the actual soul of herself in the EVA. That is lazy thinking, in my opinion. And that is without taking into consideration that she was being psychologically influenced by Armisael, the 16th angel. On the other hand, the Naoko theory is supported in part in chapters 5 and 14, when we see EVA Unit 00 punching the glass of the laboratory while on Berserk. On chapter 5 was trying to hit Gendo, and on chapter 14 was trying to hit Ritsuko, or Rei, or both. From my perspective, Naoko, who is Ritsuko's mother, was aware of her daughter's affair with Gendo, Gendo's preference toward Rei over her, and Rei being the reason of her demise. However, that does not explain the appearance of Rei in Shinji's psychic while synchronizing with Unit 00. It's very convenient to argue that this theory should be the prevalent one, just because of what we see instead on how we interpret it, when the whole story points otherwise. For example, we see Rei once and again associated with the moon throughout the series, while on the other hand we see Asuka associated with the sun. Does that mean that Rei comes from the white moon? Of course not. The white moon symbolizes Adam, and Rei has Lilith's soul. However, Lilith comes from another moon, the black moon. But what does that mean, and what about Asuka and the sun? Well, you tell me in the comments down below. After Rei 2 died and the imminent coming of the 17th Angel, Seal decided to speed up their plans on the human instrumentality program. Gendo, on the other hand, saw himself on disadvantage for the first time in the series. Without time to create another Rei with a partial soul, he decided to create another Rei with a complete soul, just like Rei 1, a Rei with free will, that will quickly understand that her body is not her own. Because she has a complete soul, she partially remembers Rei 1 and Rei 2, and the events throughout the story. That causes anger towards Gendo Ikari. Anger that will be expressed on the movie The End of Evangelion. Rei 3 symbolizes adulthood. She is an independent being, forged from personal experiences. She is aware of what she is, and is ready to exploit her full potential. I promised at the beginning of this video not to talk about the end of Evangelion. That is for another video. Instead, I am going to try to explain why Rei appears like a ghost to Shinji at the beginning of episode 1 without ever seeing each other. Now, this is insane and a bit complex, so bear with me. In chapter 23, Ritsuko takes Misato and Shinji deep into the Terminal Dogma. The first room that they visit is a laboratory where Rei 2 passed her first part of her life. Let's take a closer look to this scene. We can see clearly 3 words painted: top, bottom, and strangeness. Unless you are a physicist or an expert on quantum mechanics, and you are like me, that all physics that I know is what I learned from one Dr. Sheldon Cooper, that means nothing. Top, bottom, and strangeness are the names of 3 out of the 6 quarks known to exist. A quark is a basic subatomic particle. This is important because a quark can be in multiple places at the same time. Also, time has no effect on them. Therefore, the Rei that we see on chapter 1 is actually Rei 3 at her full potential, traveling through time and space. Guys, thank you all so much for watching this episode of my EVA series. If you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, I hope that today is the day that you consider on doing so. And now that you're thinking on doing that, you can also think on smashing that like button. Have a great day, and I will see you again very soon.
"53 seconds. It's a long amount of time, at least in the context of a 22-minute TV anime. And it's also precisely how long episode 22 of Neon Genesis Evangelion forces us to watch two characters standing nearly completely still in an elevator. And depending on who you ask, this scene can mean a lot of different things. For some, it's just another obtuse example of Hideaki Anno's quirky directorial style, but for others, it's the perfect encapsulation of everything wrong with Neon Genesis. While the show is to this day still widely loved and celebrated, the series has over the years garnered many detractors, and this scene, in which for the better part of a minute we're staring at what essentially amounts to a still image, is the perfect example of how Evangelion is really little more than a slightly above average mecha show crippled by a low budget and saddled with a director who had
Let's keep the pressure on. Victory is close. Attack the A point. Attack the enemy. Take him down.